Good afternoon, race fans, and welcome here to the first race of a brand new series, the NNSCRA Pedrigree Xfinity Series. This is going to be a series that'll be running in correlation with the remainder of the schedule of Season 2 of the Duracell Cup Series. An opportunity for drivers that were not in Duracell to be able to at least be part of a series here. Of course, with not knowing what's going to be happening with the future of this channel and everything after the month of September, wanted to give everybody an opportunity to be able to at least be in a series before we end up potentially having the content of this channel start winding down. And we are going to kick things off here today with Super Speedway racing from Dragonett. Now, what this series is going to do is not only feature drivers that aren't going to be over in the Duracell Cup Series, but also the scheduling is going to try and go to tracks that Duracell is not going to, tracks that aren't necessarily favored as much, and try and put them on the schedule. We'll be talking about some of the tracks we'll be going to in the next couple of weeks. The schedule is not 100% put together, but on the front row for today's race is going to be the number 22 discount tire Ford Mustang of Phil Parker. He grabs the pole position for today's event, and alongside of him is going to be the 07 Scuba Life Chevrolet Camaro. That is Dylan Poteet, who took part in the Duracell Cup Series last season, did not re-sign with N Ormond Motorsports in Season 2. One thing we should also point out here this season as well is that this series will have a chase, but the way the chase works is much different from most series that we've run, especially here in the past few months. 10 drivers will make it into the playoffs. 8 drivers will get in via wins, like the highest as far as wins, much like the Duracell Cup Series is, but 2 drivers will get in being the highest in the point standings without a victory. So if drivers have a consistent season and say they haven't gone to victory lane but someone's leading the points, well, then they're going to make it into the playoffs. Kind of rewards drivers not only for going to victory lane, but also rewards a couple of drivers for being consistent, even though they may not have been able to find victory lane during the course of the regular season. Regular season is going to be 10 races in length. The playoffs will be 5 races. And there will be, as we say, 10 drivers that will make it into the playoffs. The first 2 races of the playoffs will be the first round. The second 2 races of the playoffs will be the second round. And then the final race will be where the final 4 will be. 3 eliminations will take place after the first elimination race. 3 eliminations after the second elimination race, leaving us with 4 drivers to settle it out. Not certain if we're going to have championship weekend be at Homestead, Miami for both series or not. We know it will be for Duracell. Still up in the air on whether that will be taking place here for Pedrigree Xfinity. But without further ado, we're going to go down trackside. We're going to get those most famous words in motorsports. And then we're going to hopefully be able to show you all the drivers that are part of the roster this season here in the Pedrigree Xfinity Series.
Drivers, start your engines!
So we're here today at Dragonett Super Speedway. A lot of people will remember that this was the homestead of the All-Star race for the Snickers Cup Series. 38 laps of racing. This track is just a little bit longer than Daytona, not much. I think the official length of this track is 2.538 miles. So just a tick over the length of Daytona International Speedway, where Duracell Cup Series had their season opener. We're going to see these drivers get up to speeds of almost 220 miles per hour. It's a very fast racetrack, even with the GNS physics. And we should see some really good racing as well. Not certain about fuel. That's going to be something this season here for the Xfinity Series that I'm going to be having to look into, because as we know, in the Duracell Cup Series, we run the 2019 rules package with CTS physics. GNS does have some fuel fall off, but not nearly to the extent that CTS does. So we'll see if indeed it's going to be a lot of fuel strategy races this season or not, or will we see drivers be able to stretch it a lot further and have it be track position. That's the key factor in terms of positioning yourself for a chance of going to victory lane. A lot of drivers here in this field that were in the Duracell Cup Series last season but did not re-sign this season that are in this field. We already mentioned about Dylan Poteet. You've also got Trent Dunham, who's in the field. You also have, I believe, Diego Yepez is in this field. So there are a lot of drivers that are not in the Duracell Cup Series that are in this series, and we'll see if they have a little bit of an advantage or not in terms of the experience they've had in Duracell Cup Series action. But here we go, 38 laps of racing here at Dragonett. Green flag's in the air. Let's roll. Phil Parker and Dylan Poteet both seem to kind of get the exact same start. Daniel Voyles in the 46, though, will dive to the inside, and he started third. Looked like he got the best jump of the top 4 there on the initial drop of the green. And he's going to challenge Phil Parker for that top position. Right behind him, you've got Jimmy Dawson in the 14. There are a couple of drivers here in this roster, of which I've never heard before, so we'll see what kind of an impact they can make here, especially in the first race of the season. It's a super speedway, so it's kind of a wild card race. Everyone's got a shot, and they are 4 wide back here. Still 4 wide. They're 4 wide, 2 rows deep. That's the 6 of Ashlyn Boyd in the middle with Charles Jackson in the 44. Further back, I believe that's Kyle Keith and Sean Gallighan, the 5 and the 39. And Andrew Miller in the 33 about to enter into this. Look at them, 4 wide for the lead. Oh, they're not going to be able to keep this together, are they? Oh my goodness, that is the 98 of Justin Dearborn going to the front, and now Zach Winkle's going to look to the bottom in the 4. He's got K Shearer helping him. I can't believe we're still keeping it green. They're still 4 wide, about 4 rows deep. Sooner or later, someone's going to make a mistake. You got to think, as Zach Winkle now seems to get out in front clear of K Shearer. They're still 4 wide. That is almost 5 rows deep now. Look at the 88 to the inside. Eli Bright. Oh, there they go. Up into the wall go several race cars, and they're wrecking even further up. Andrew Miller hit hard. Charles Jackson collected as well. You knew it was going to happen. It was just a matter of time. And someone pulled the pin, and the grenade went off. And we've lost maybe half our field because of those 2 wrecks. One in turn 1, the other one off turn 2. Off back to the line, it's going to be a couple of RCR teammates on the bottom. Matthew Logan in the 21 is going to lead him to the caution. Got some big-time help from Joshua Ciculli there through turn 4. Caution is out for the first time here today at Dragonett. And it's the big one, and it's the big one in 2 different areas of the racetrack that kind of culminated into one big wreck, and there you see the smoke lingering through turns 1 and 2 and onto the back straightaway. And I think only 4 laps in, we're going to have ourselves some retirees from this race. There's the 2 car of JD, and I'm going to try and say this name correctly, Figadarello, I believe is how you pronounce it. I will, as the season goes on, get that name better pronounced. And Nicholas Romero in the 20 was in it. Quentin Moore in the Morgan Shepherd car. Patrick Zych was in it. K Shearer, we saw him up at the front when that happened, and he was collected up in it. Jimmy Dawson as well. Nathan Stapleton, a lot of damage on the 42 car. Looks like some damage on the 28 of Skylar Perry. Yeah, he's got front-end damage on his Toyota Camry. Sky Commons there in the 9 might have gotten through with no damage. Can't see the left side, though. There's Charles Jackson. We know he went into the wall. He's got right side and rear damage. Just ahead of him is Jacob Thibodeaux in the 52. And I think all these drivers here are coming down pit road after getting damage in some way, shape, or form. Jonathan Zoerlein's got front-end damage, rear-end damage on Kyle Thomas. I saw the 25 just pull into his pit stall of Kyle Langeland. He had damage. Well, the 21, who was the leader, actually came to pit road, so regularly scheduled stops for some drivers there. Looking at the 1 of Nathan Ormond on the 1 Main Financial Camaro. He's got rear and right side damage. There's Kyle Keith. There's Corey Williams in the 51. He, I believe, was the driver I saw shoot up the track starting the 2nd wreck. Daniel Voyles in the 46, a lot of damage on his machine. So we had some drivers stay out. Looks like the top 9 stayed out. Matthew Logan came to pit road, gave up the race lead to teammate Joshua Ciculli, but now these 9 are probably hoping either they can make it the rest of the way with the 8 of these pacing laps, or that we're going to get another caution. Just go back and cycle through, see if there's anybody else that was involved in the wreck that we did not document. I don't know if J Shelly was involved or not. He'd spent a pretty long time on pit road there in the 16 car, but I didn't see any visible damage. So he might have been collected in some way, but not really any visible damage. And we're looking there at the 99 of Anthony Lopez. he was collected up in this. I believe he was the first car I saw spun around in the first incident in turn 1. So caution is out for the first time today here at Dragonett. 2 wrecks happening, one right after the other. Let's go back and see what happened in a full in-depth replay. Well, the fact we were able to make it almost 3 laps, with them 4 wide, 3 and 4 rows deep, was incredible. And this is going to start, I believe, with the 99 on the inside. There's the contact. Nathan Ormond hooking Corey Williams in the left rear quarter panel. Chase Marks in the 3 went down the apron. There you see Daniel Voyles up into the wall, as well as pole sitter Phil Parker getting collected up in that as well. And that was only about a 4, 5, 6 car incident there. The wreck up there in turn 2 was much, much worse. That one started, I believe, with Charles Jackson, and I'm not certain who the other car was. Well, actually, if you look, I believe the contact's going to be between the 33 of Andrew Miller and the 07 of Dylan Poteet. Oh, no, right there. Miller got up into Jackson. Then he gets into Poteet. Poteet's into Kyle Keith. Up into K Shearer. There's Andrew Miller getting hooked off the nose of Charles Jackson. He goes up in the wall. And then he's going to come back down in front of traffic. And let's see who he gets hit by. It might be Emmanuel Hartnett right here. Yep, that's exactly who it was. Also contact with, I believe that was Arthur Xavier in the 24. Look at Quentin Moore get jacked up into the air by Trent Dunham. You see the 20 of Nicholas Romero, the 2 of J Figadarello. Got the 42 back there as well. Nathan Stapleton, a lot of front-end damage on his car. J Shelly was in the wreck. Looks like Sky Commons might have gotten through. Whoa, what happened to the 47? Look at how that car kind of jolted up in the air. Oh, he was upside down. That's why. We had 2 cars upside down. Jimmy Dawson in the 14 as well as the 48 of Patrick Zych. See how the 14 goes upside down. He's on the left side of the screen and not up yet, and then goes up and over, and that was contact with, couldn't tell who that was that flipped him upside down. And then you can see right here is the 48 catches the grass with the roof. Sends the car up and over even more. Who was the car that got the... Oh, was it K Shearer or was it Jake? It might have been Jacob Thibodeaux that actually flipped the 14 upside down. And there is also the 98 of Justin Dearborn. I didn't realize he was involved in the wreck. So both of the Stuart Haas or Bugatti racing cars were collected. The 00 and the 98, those teammates. 2 cars done for the day. And Emmanuel Hartnett smoking as well there on the apron on the back straightaway. So his day came to a very early end. So we're going to have not very many drivers, I don't think, still remain in this race. I think the garage area is going to fill up pretty well with a lot of drivers getting extensive damage here from these 2 wrecks that took place on lap number 3. Green flag set to come back out here on lap 8 of 38. Drivers out of the race after that wreck, or those wrecks, I should say, include Kyle Keith, Jacob Thibodeaux, Kyle Langeland, Skylar Perry, Dylan Poteet, Nathan Stapleton, Andrew Miller, Justin Dearborn, K Shearer, Jimmy Dawson, Emmanuel Hartnett, Arthur Xavier, Quentin Moore, J Figadarello, and Nicholas Romero. They've got the 48 of Patrick Zych still scored in this race, 3 laps down. I don't see him on track. I think he might still be sitting on pit road. I don't think that car will be continuing, but we'll obviously wait and see. As it's Joshua Ciculli out in front, James McCloud will line up second. Third's going to be Ashlyn Boyd. Fourth, Eli Bright. Fifth, Zach Winkle. The rest of your top 10 are going to be S Ozkan in sixth. Seventh is David Garcia. Eighth place will be Diego Yepez. Ninth, Ryan Madden. And completing your top 10 is going to be Sean Gallighan. Remember, the top 9 did not come to pit road under this caution. Sean Gallighan was the first one to come off pit lane. So if this thing goes into a long green flag run, we'll see if that's going to help Gallighan, or is Gallighan still short on fuel as green flag is back in the air here on lap number 8. So the field's going to be spread out. because a lot of drivers that are starting at the tail end of the field here, like Corey Williams, J Shelly, Charles Jackson, Daniel Voyles, we know they got damage in some way, shape, or form. Don't know if that's going to affect them speed-wise or not, but I would think that there's only going to maybe, as I look here at the number of drivers that were involved, I'd say maybe only 17 cars at this point in time. Maybe 16 cars will be completely up to speed. And we got another wreck. Hard impact. Eli Bright, J McCloud. Caution will wave again as now David Garcia will lead them back to the yellow flag, or will he? S Ozkan right behind him, and it looks like it will be the 7 branch Chevy of Garcia that will lead us back. And what the heck happened there? All of a sudden I saw the 23 shoot up the racetrack, pound the outside wall, and that was a hard hit for both McCloud and Eli Bright, who I think were around the 3rd, 4th position that they were battling. And there is what's left of the Hellman's Chevrolet. And McCloud's already on pit road. Phil Parker, I guess, got collected up in that one as well. Boy, season was starting out so great for him. He had the pole position, but he's been 2 for 2 in getting collected up in the wrecks here so far in the first 10 laps of this race. It's going to be a big break as well for those 9 drivers that didn't pit, although 2 of them, if I'm not mistaken, are drivers that were collected up in that wreck, Eli Bright and J McCloud. So now it's a big break for 7 drivers who didn't pit under the first caution. But I do not see the 62 of Joshua Ciculli looking like he's going to come to pit lane. So it looks like they're still going to stay out. Maybe they think with all these pacing laps, they're going to be able to save enough to make it the full 38 scheduled laps. Don't know. Oh, well, as soon as I say that, S Ozkan is going to come to pit lane. So it will be the 7 of David Garcia leading the way. It looks like the 12 of A McCrury is going to pit as well. Let's go back and see what happened over in turn 1. It wasn't turn 1, it was turn 3. And this was actually a battle for second place. Let's see what happens here. I mean, they were able to hold it 4 wide, several rows deep. This was not even quite 3 wide. Maybe it was that bump right there going into turn 3. Maybe unsettled Eli Bright, sent him up the track, and then just nowhere for J McCloud to go. And boy, that is hard impact for both those drivers. You saw how it sent the 88 airborne. I mean, the toughest hit for both of them is they were running up inside the top 5. Now let's watch for the 22 of Phil Parker, because I think he gets a piece of this. Yep, right there. Close call as well for Trent Dunham. And J Shelly, Daniel Voyles both going to get little pieces as well. And it's not over. Another hit right there. That's Kyle Thomas. And Charles Jackson is able to get on the brakes quickly enough to avoid the spinning 22, so there were more innocent victims collected up in that than we knew. Phil Parker, J Shelly, Daniel Voyles, and Kyle Thomas getting more damage. But what a tough break there for McCloud and Eli Bright, who at the time were battling for the second position and then find themselves up into the turn 3 outside wall. And because of that, 5 more drivers have gone back behind the wall. J Shelly will finish 24th, J McCloud 23rd, Phil Parker in 22nd. Ironic, the 22 finishing 22nd and the 23 finishing 23rd. That's really weird. Also out of the race is going to be 21st place finisher Eli Bright and 20th place finisher Kyle Thomas. So only 19 cars of our original 40 are still on the racetrack. And all of them are on the lead lap as the green flag went back in the air, and Diego Yepez did not get going. Now that's going to be more of a bad thing for David Garcia than anybody else, because with him getting way out in front, the field behind him is going to form up, and they're going to run him down very quickly, have a lot more speed than he will. They're going to reel him in very quickly. They may catch him by turn 4. As they're going to go 3 wide for the second position. Ashland Boyd on the bottom, Zach Winkle up top as it turned into a double wide battle for second place. How about the one of N Ormond? We saw he had rear end damage from the earlier wreck, but that car is still apparently up to speed. And he's bringing Chase Marks in the 3 along with him. Chase Marks had to dive to the apron to avoid the first wreck. Got a little damage in the passenger side door, but was able to keep it straight, and now up here inside of the top 10. And look at the 99 as well. Anthony Lopez. That's that white car back there. He was collected up in the first wreck of the day. I think he was the start of the first wreck, and somehow, someway, he's up here in the top 10. Look at Sean Gallighan. Gallighan wants by Chase Marks in the 3. He almost was willing to make it 4 wide on the inside line. Also up here in this lead pack, you've got the 11 of Ryan Madden. You got the 12 of Anthony McCrury. And I believe that is, yes it is, S Ozkan in the 19 is there 4 wide up in this lead group. Well, they were able to make it 4 wide for a couple of laps in the early stages. It's like they may be able to settle that one out there as you fall back a little bit further. Find the stragglers. You got Matthew Logan in the 21, currently in the 13th position. I don't think he's got any damage. He might have been held up behind a slower race car on that restart and obviously was not able to keep himself in the draft. Daniel Voyles, who has been in 2 wrecks today, got involved in the first wreck, and then he also got a little bit of damage after hitting Phil Parker in the second wreck. He's currently still running in that 14th position. I guess Sky Commons does have damage because he's back here with Trent Dunham and Corey Williams, who right now are 15th, 16th, and 17th. And then these are the last 2 cars running in this race. Jonathan Zoerlein in 18th and Charles Jackson currently in 19th place. I believe there are 12 cars, yes, up in this lead pack right now. And it looks like it's going to be between these 12 of who's going to win this race. Now remember, the way that the system works this season, it's a win and you're in. I should also mention, too, that for the Xfinity Series, they have to be in the top 20 in points for their win to count towards a playoff spot. But 8 drivers will get in via wins, being top 20 in the point standings. 2 drivers will get in, being highest in the points without a victory. So if you get that win here at Dragonett, with it being a limited 10-race regular season, could very well be putting yourself automatically into a playoff spot. And I'll tell you what, the way they're racing up here at the front is making me nervous. 12 cars or not, they were leaning on each other off turn 2 that last lap. And I thought we were going to have a wreck. Somehow they're keeping it together, though. The thing I'm noticing is when they're 3 wide, they're not able to hold it steady. They are moving around. They're skating around. And that is when you end up having wrecks. That's when you end up having mistakes. That's when you end up having drivers hook each other in the left and right rear quarter panels. And the end result is what we saw take place back on lap 3. 4 wide again. Ryan Madden on the bottom. Diego Yepez in the middle. Gallighan a groove higher. And Ashland Boyd's the one up top side. Where you really have to focus your attention is on the 2 cars in the middle to see if they are giving each other enough room, because if they're leaning on each other, that's usually going to be an issue, especially coming off of the corner. Wow, Sean Gallighan just got crossed over there. David Garcia almost was completely into his left rear quarter panel before being able to get to the inside as Joshua Ciculli back out in front. And to my knowledge, I don't think Ciculli has been to pit road this entire race. He stayed out after the first caution, was able to inherit the race lead, got us back under green when we had the second caution come out. I'm pretty certain he did not come to pit lane, so his hope is that everyone else cannot make it on fuel. But if they can, he may have given the race away. Who knows? We're going to have to wait and see, though. Like I said at the beginning of the race, I don't know what the fuel tank is as far as these drivers with GNS. I'm so used to the CTS fuel tank over in the Duracell Cup Series. Look at that move there by Chase Marks. This is the first time that Chase Marks has been in a series I have held. We saw Chase Marks in the Eldora special event. But looking really good here at Dragonett. And here comes Diego Yepez in the 90. Remember Diego Yepez last season in the Duracell Cup Series was a 2-time winner when he drove for Unknown Motorsports in the Zero car. One of those wins I remember was at Lime Rock. I don't remember where the other one was. But now down here in the Xfinity Series, trying to win down here. As I look at the grid, the roster. Oh, wait a minute. Pit stops. Never mind. Hold that thought. Diego Yepez is in, along with Ashland Boyd. A couple of other drivers. Sky Commons was in a lap earlier, along with Jonathan Zoerlein. Looks like Anthony McCrury might have been to pit lane already, unless the field just got broken up. Ryan Madden was on pit road. But as I look at the roster, drivers that have former time in the Duracell Cup Series that are down here in this series this season would include Trent Dunham, who's in the 01, Dylan Poteet in the 07, James Shelly in the 16, as I believe David Garcia is coming to pit road along with Zach Winkle. Yes, they are. Let's see. I believe the only other ones, to my knowledge, would be Diego Yepez, and I think that might be it. That turned the race lead over to the one of Nathan Ormond. Ormond's by himself, though. And just to update, no, Anthony McCrury did not come to pit lane yet. Nathan Ormond's going to come to pit lane by himself, though, and that's not normally what you want to have at a super speedway. You want to have friends, and look how quickly he got reeled in by... I think he's out of fuel, actually. Yes, Nathan Ormond's out of fuel. He's just barely going to make it to pit road. He stretched it a little too far. Race lead's now going to be turned over to the 12 of Anthony McCrury. Right now he is battling with Ryan Madden, who is currently a lap down. I believe the last two drivers we are waiting on are McCrury in the 12, S Ozkan in the 19, who got held up behind Nathan Ormond when Ormond was running out of fuel. Looks like McCrury's going to get around Anthony Lopez and Chase Marks so he can hit pit road if he wants to this lap. But it doesn't look like he's indicating he's coming to pit road. No, I think he's staying out an extra lap. S Ozkan is also going to stay out an extra lap. So McCrury, the good news for him is he's able to have drivers around him, whether they be on the tail end of the lead lap or a lap down. You have Madden and Yepez right there, so his lap times are still pretty good. And looks like he may be coming to pit road this time. Well, if he is, he's not going to be allowed to. Ryan Madden to his inside. Anthony's got to hope that he's able to make it at least one more lap if he was planning on pitting this last time by, because he could end up being in the same situation Nathan Ormond was. With Ryan Madden getting around Anthony McCrury, he's now 9th, last car on the lead lap. These drivers just ahead of the 12 are on the lead lap. Diego Yepez, the first car, one lap down in 10th. Everybody's waiting on when the 12 hits pit road, as they're all going to navigate their way around the slower machine of Jonathan Zoerlein. I don't think McCrury can make it on fuel. Same for Yepez. If everybody else was just on pit road with about 15 laps to go, it's just a question of when does McCrury pit. Charles Jackson, I think, was trying to get to pit lane. And it looks like he will safely do so. Had to get behind Ryan Madden in front of leader Anthony McCrury. I think there might be a couple of other drivers that have not pit yet either. One of those is the 21 of Matthew Logan. And I believe Daniel Voyles in the 46 had not pitted. He's now on pit road. So I believe we're now waiting on the 21, 19, and 12 to completely cycle the green flag pit stops. And McCrury is still going to stay out. What about S Ozkan? He is pitting. And I'm not certain Chase Marks got the message. Chase Marks was all over his back bumper. Almost looked like he was going to spin S Ozkan around, with Ozkan trying to hit pit lane. So now it's all up to Anthony McCrury. He is the last driver that will have to hit pit lane, that will completely cycle the pit stops around, and I do believe then everybody will be good to go on fuel. I believe. Put that in quotation marks. I'm not 100% certain. Well, Anthony's got to lane to the pit road entry if he wants it, but he will not take it. Anthony must be getting some pretty good fuel mileage with being in the draft of these race cars right now. And maybe he's hoping for a caution. If he gets a caution, he could trap a lot of these guys a lap down. Ooh, wait a minute. The 12 losing speed. Nope, doesn't look like it, but he is trapped up on the outside line 3 wide, so I don't think he's going to be able to get pit lane this lap. How far can he go? He must have been way off sequence with everybody else, because everybody else was on pit road for the most part about 7-8 laps ago. And even some of the drivers that utilized his strategy have come to pit road, like S Ozkan and D Voyles. I believe, actually, I should mention the 21 of Matthew Logan, I think, is still out there too. I don't think he's pitted yet. Where is he? Oh, and as soon as I say that, he's on pit lane. So now it is officially Anthony McCrury, the last car that needs to pit. And it does not look like it's going to be this lap. Never mind. He will hit pit road. So now, where does he cycle around? Looks like the battle right now is going to be between Yepez, Madden, Winkle, David Garcia, Sean Gallighan, S Ozkan. They were up in that lead group. It's a question of where does McCrury come out in relation to those 6. Looks like they're going to give him just enough fuel to make it. Right side tires. He's down and away. This is the pack we need to focus on. Winkle, Yepez, Garcia, Madden, Ozkan, Gallighan up in this group. We'll see if McCrury can merge either in front or with this pack. If he does, he's got a shot of winning this race. If he loses touch with them, then he's out of the hunt. Unless we end up getting a late race caution. 12 car, I believe, is coming off the back straightaway right now out of turn 2. You heard his engine right there. It's like he will get out ahead of these guys. Have a pretty good gap to them as well, which I'm not certain is such a good thing. Sky Common's going to get around him. I believe that's going to put Sky back on the lead lap as he runs in 17th place. And Anthony McCrury going to look in his rearview mirror, and he's going to see 6 hungry drivers reeling him in very quickly. David Garcia, 222 at the line. McCrury by himself is only going 210. That's a 10 miles per hour difference between first and second place. So McCrury at least will probably be able to merge with this group when they catch him. But I don't think he's going to be able to hold the race lead. Unless he pulls off some really good blocks. Looks like he's going to get around Sky Commons again. Maybe hoping the 9 of Commons is going to slow them up. And that will allow him to maybe hang on to the lead. If the 9 of Commons slows their momentum, and that will help McCrury. And that's actually a Junior Motorsports teammate to the 7 of David Garcia. Looks like he was willing to get out of Garcia's way, and Garcia's going to very easily, with that much faster momentum, going to get by Anthony McCrury for the race lead. So we've got 7 cars up here in the hunt for this victory. Next time by, it will be a total of 5 laps to go here at Dragonett. David Garcia, Ryan Madden, S Ozkan, Diego Yepez, Zach Winkle, Anthony McCrury, Sean Gallighan. Those are the drivers that are going to settle it out here today. Try and pick up the first win of the season, as Ryan Madden now going to the point. And I'm trying to look to see if there's any teammates that can really work together, and I don't really see any up here. The closest I can find would be the 11 of Madden and the 39 of Gallighan, because both of those cars get equipment out of Richard Childress Racing Stables, but they are not officially teammates. The 39 is out of Ryan Sieg, something, RSS, I don't know exactly what that entirely means, and the 11 is out of Colleague Racing. We might have traffic to deal with, too. You got Trent Dunham and Corey Williams up here, and they're not too far ahead of the race leaders. They're not entirely off the pace, but they are slower than these guys because they're not really in a pack. So we'll see if that comes into play as Z Winkle hits the line. 4 laps to go here at Dragonett. And speaking of 4, we're 4 wide for second. Madden, Ozkan, Garcia, and Gallighan. Galligan's going to be the one to back out of that one. Now they'll make it 3 wide for second place as Z Winkle going to catch Corey Williams. Williams adheres to the leader, moves up to the outside line and out of the way. Trent Dunham not going to do the same. That's a teammate. JD Motorsport teammate. Not getting out of the way of Z Winkle. That allows Ryan Madden to close up as they're 4 wide back there again. They split Corey Williams 4 wide. Pretty sure these drivers can make it on fuel, but again, don't count that out. If it is a question of fuel, then obviously Anthony McCrury would be in a very good position, as looks like Ryan Madden will clear Z Winkle for the spot. Look at the big run Diego Yepez and Sean Gallighan have, though, in 3rd and 4th. They're going to charge up the inside line. I don't think anybody's going to be able to stop them either. That's a freight train with no brakes. And now S Ozkan going to make it 3 wide for second. The laps are ticking away. Time is winding down. You've still got 7 drivers up here in the hunt for the win. Diego Yepez, 2-time winner in the Duracell Cup Series, now out in front. Here comes S Ozkan for the race lead with 2 laps to go. Who is in the best position? Maybe McCrury back there. McCrury hasn't really charged up to the front since they caught him when the pit stop cycled around. He might be waiting. Now David Garcia going to drive it down to the bottom. Maybe 3 wide. Z Winkle with help from Ryan Madden. It will be 3 wide into 3. And Winkle will go back to the point. Traffic could be an issue again. You've got Ormond, Voyles, Zoerlein, and Jackson just up ahead. Will they catch them on this final lap? White flag in the air. 1 more lap to go. Here comes Ryan Madden for the race lead. David Garcia going to cross down to the inside, see which lane opens up. He's going to help the 11. Ryan Madden's going to go to the point. Garcia looking low here out of 2. Can he get to the left rear quarter panel, or will that outside line be formed better? Garcia trying to stay alongside of the 11 car. He will, but they're better formulated up top. Ryan Madden getting the run off turn 4. Garcia going to challenge again on the bottom. This could be a photo finish at Dragonett. Garcia on the bottom. Madden up top. Drag race to the line. Ryan Madden by a splitter is going to win the season opener at Dragonett Superspeedway. How about that? The outside line prevailed in turns 3 and 4. 1/100th they've got on the unofficial ticker. And Ryan Madden picks up the victory here today in the season opener of the Pedrigree Xfinity Series. What a way to start the season off. And so with that, Ryan Madden, with the limited number of playoff spots that there are, did he just clinch one of the 8 playoff spots for drivers that can get in via wins? His goal now is obviously going to be to try and remain in the top 20 in the point standings, so that win would count. Would certainly help him as well if he got a second win along the way, but with only 9 races left in the regular season, the odds of that in a 40-car field, very slim to none. But it could happen. And Ryan Madden, really, if you think about it, not really one of the drivers that, when we were talking about those 7 that were up here at the front, not really one that we were focusing on that much, and that's typical super speedway racing. Normally, the driver that you don't highlight always seems to be that one that jumps up there to the front in the closing stages. Waiting in the wings, picking his moments. And boy, talk about picking a lane into turns 3 and 4. David Garcia had him, but because they were better formulated on the top side, especially coming off turn 4 on the straightaway, Ryan Madden was able to just barely edge ahead. Let's actually jump back, look at that photo finish again. This is how close it was for the first checkered flag of the season here in the Pedrigree Xfinity Series. Wow, TV2 does not help at all. There you go. That's how close it was. And you can see that Ryan Madden had Z Winkle and Sean Gallighan lined up there on the outside line with him. I think that was the difference that gave Madden better straightaway speed coming to the start-finish line than Garcia had. I think Garcia was ahead off turn 4, but the drafting help up high helped Ryan Madden edge out in those few last 100 feet. And according to the official scoring, it was indeed an even 1/100th of a second that Ryan Madden edged David Garcia by. But talk about the Chevys up here. I believe Chevrolet finished in the entire top 5. Yes, they did. So the Chevrolet Camaros sweep the top 5 positions, with Z Winkle finishing 3rd, Diego Yepez in 4th. S Gallighan brings it home in 5th. 6th was S Ozkan, then it was Anthony McCrury in 7th. Not really sure what was happening with Anthony. I don't know if it was just that he was at the back of that pack and really couldn't do anything as far as getting a run, but I mean, he was out in front for a good portion before having to pit, and then after that, when that lead group reeled him in, just kind of stalled out. J Ciculli brings it home in 8th. Great run for him as he led a couple laps today. Ashland Boyd in 9th. Completing your top 10 was Chase Marks. Just about everybody, if you finished the race, you got a good finish. Matthew Logan was 11th. Anthony Lopez in 12th. Daniel Voyles 13th. 14th was N Ormond. He was the last car to finish on the lead lap. Trent Dunham, first car lap down, was 15th. Corey Williams 16th. Sky Commons in 17th. Then Jonathan Zoerlein and Charles Jackson finished 18th and 19th. Everybody else finished out of the race. Only 2 cautions here today, but those cautions, especially the first one, were big wrecks, so it took out more than half of our field, including the drivers Kyle Thomas, Eli Bright, Phil Parker, James McCloud, J Shelly, Kyle Keith, Jacob Thibodeaux, Kyle Langeland, Skylar Perry, Dylan Poteet, Nathan Stapleton, Andrew Miller, Justin Dearborn, K Shearer, Jimmy Dawson, Patrick Zych, Emmanuel Hartnett, Arthur Xavier, Quentin Moore, J Figadarello, and Nicholas Romero. So obviously all those drivers that DNF'd will be looking to bounce back next week, as their goal for the first thing is to get into the top 20 in points. Second goal is to try and get a win, and their third goal is to just try and be consistent for the remainder of the season, to try and get up there and get one of those 2 positions that will get into the playoffs via points, highest in the standings without a victory. As I stated, I am not 100% certain what the schedule looks like for the entire season, but I do know at least where the first 4 races are for this season. So thank you all so much for watching today's race here from Dragonett. If you enjoyed it, be sure to give this video a like, subscribe, and be a part of the crew today. Don't forget to tune in to tomorrow's Duracell Cup Series race. Next week for the Pedrigree Xfinity Series, we're going to Pig Stadium. That's another track that can hold them 3 and 4 wide, and I don't think these drivers will hesitate to test those waters. Should be a wild one, so you'll want to tune into that. The following week, we're going road course racing at Road America. But thank you all so much for tuning in today. Congratulations to Ryan Madden on the first win of the new series, Pedrigree Xfinity Series, and we will see you guys next time as you're taking a look here at your point standings. You've been watching a production of the NCRA, Offline Racing at its best.